Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello, good morning again. Thank you so much for starting your day with us on your amazing TV station here, Western Spring Television, where we bring it to you as it is. Femi Olanipeku is my name. It's the last day of the event-filled month of November. We're just about crossing into the last month of the year 2022, and we're so happy to have you join us this lovely morning.
Yes, we're very happy to have you join us on the program this morning. Emmanuel Ujiadigele is my name. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles at Western Spring Television on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter is at WSTV_NG, where we bring it to you as it is. We have, of course, interesting segments lined up for you. We have the newspaper review. We'll bring you the interview session, and of course the spring trends segment of the program. And so we'll start with the newspapers this morning. By the way, it's the last day of the 11th month, and we're going into the last month of the year.
Yeah, sure.
Last.
And, you know, what an event-filled month it's been.
Of course, especially in the last 3 days. Yes.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And it's been, you know, a lot of drama, and we expect to see even more. But I hate to, you know, it's so unfortunate with what is happening with the fuel crisis. I come in even early this morning. You see people queuing already at filling stations, some of the few filling stations selling. And I hate to, know and see the waste of man hours, the stress that people will go in. So they will end this month on the queue. Some will enter the new month on the queue. I mean, so I do hope that this does not extend to the yield time. There's going to be lots of stress. You know, you can't be coping with food, insecurity, the expensive nature of food, and some of the other challenges, and then add this on to it. Please, government, whoever is in charge, we need to fix this as soon as possible.
Of course, those things need to be fixed as soon as possible to make life easy for every citizen of this country. So we'll now take a break, and when we come back, we'll bring you what's happening on the papers.
Yep. All right, thank you so much. So let's give you the papers this morning. We start with the Punch newspapers here, and it's about import duty controversy. Private jet owners sue government over 30 billion naira tax. With the riders, 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. Aircraft owners sue government with foreign registered firms. Trustees insist payment illegal. NCAA customers await court papers. Abuja court plan to set hearing date for suit. Why don't they want to pay the tax, Emmanuel?
Well, I really don't know what is happening with
perhaps you're friends to some of the private jet owners, who knows?
Well, I wouldn't want to disclose that for security reasons.
Because if you have the money to buy private jet, you should be able to pay tax on it. Yeah.
Of course. And saying 17 business moguls, banks, others move to stop government from grounding luxury jets. Well, I think it's all about people wanting to maximize profit, maximize gratification, and then minimize what goes out. You know, take what you can and give nothing in return. If people can do that, they will do it. Well, it's really messy. There's still a case going on between the private airline owners and the federal government over the Nigerian Air. And, now it's private jet owners suing the government over 30 billion naira tax. I really don't understand why some of these issues are still coming up. We understand that the taxes help the development of the country.
Yeah.
And if you have something that is taxable, in quote, then you should pay tax.
It's your obligation as a citizen, and you should actually be faithful to that. But let's talk some more about drug here, just down that story. And that's a picture. There's a picture of a Palacio residence of a suspected drug baron, and the headline is NDLEA now suspected drug baron, brother flees. That you can get that story on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ogun, Oyo deployed drones against kidnappers. And herbalist steals money, beheads lotto operator. RMAFC, EFCC uncover oil firms $205 million unremitted funds. And just above the nameplate, Depot sell 220 naira per liter. Marketers project 350 naira per liter pump price. With the rider, Ipman, others decry jump in landing cost, foresee gloomy Christmas.
And that's exactly what you were saying this just a few minutes ago.
Oh my goodness.
Hoping it doesn't get into the youth out, but the people who will be supplying the common man with the petrol and all of that are saying that they foresee a gloomy Christmas, and it doesn't bode well. It doesn't really bode well. People should be able to at least take a break from the hustle, take a break from the difficulties after 11 months, and then relax in the 12th month. But it's looking as if we would still be contending with very serious issues.
It's very sad. Yeah. So on page 25, about the headline is at the top left-hand corner above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper. It's 87% of Nigeria's rural roads deplorable, as according to the World Bank. I think we all know that. It's should be some of our worst kept secrets. We all know that most of our roads are deplorable, but the World Bank is saying 87% of Nigeria's rural roads deplorable.
Well, it's like you said, public knowledge. Everybody knows that. Even the roads in the urban centers are not very good.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the rot in the rural centers, in the rural areas. And that's also probably part of the reasons we have food scarcity sometimes, because getting the food from the hinterland down to the centers could be very big problem.
Yes.
And so before it gets there, some of these food items have gone bad. And you know, the sellers also want to maximize profit, so they just bring those things to the market like that, or increase the price of the ones that are available. So it's really something we should start working on, you know, and that's why the local governments have to function. They need to be allowed to do their jobs, so that they can take care of these little in streets, roads, and all of those things that they fall within their purview. So I think the government should also look into other issues that would take off the responsibility from the state and federal government. Let the local government fix those things.
And so, you know, Emmanuel, I mean, you made a very, very important point there. If local governments are allowed to function as they should, quite a number of our problems will be addressed. They are the closest government to the people. And, you know, for some of those rural roads, the bulk of them fall within the, you know, the space of the local government. So growing up, I remember that immediately after rainfall, local governments sometimes even do grade roads in our communities, but that seems not to be the case anymore. The state is taking over, they've stifled the local government, and here we are today. But let's give you the last take on a Punch newspaper this morning. Budget pardon allegation senseless, says Finance Minister. Budget pardon allegation senseless, says Finance Minister. That's on page 8 of the Punch news. But that's the last take from the Punch this morning.
Well, we'll move on to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper, the banner headline says, Wike to Rivers PDP, await directive on presidential poll. We'll tell you who to vote for. In quotes there, you will vote for our governor, our senatorial candidate, House of Representatives candidate, and assembly candidate. Then the other one, I will come and tell you where you will vote. I can hear that statement in Wike's voice. I can hear it. It's really, I don't know. I really don't know how to put this.
Sometimes you can be speechless, you know, and you're permitted to be. But for these, I mean, it appears to me like someone who perhaps operating a fiefdom. You know, like, you know, I don't know, you know, so you tell them, come, don't worry, vote for this, but then this other one, I will come and tell you. I mean, what does that mean? And we will still get to it. I saw in one of the papers where they're dragging, as they say on social media, Wike and his, you know, candidate for his party, because the candidate, we've not seen him. He's been hiding in government house. He's been on EFCC's wanted list for some time here. So, I mean, I'm talking about the candidate Fubara. You know, so we've not seen him most of the time campaigning, you know. But here we are. He's telling other people, vote for these other people. But for your candidate of your party at the national level, the presidential, I will tell you when I'm ready. Well, so let's wait to see when we get that directive. Sorry, when PDP members in Rivers get that directive.
Well, it also speaks to the fact that we are yet to get to a place where the electorate have a mind of their own.
Yes.
That's why godfatherism and people delivering their polling units is still a thing. You know,
delivering, like you deliver your polling unit.
Meaning that everybody will vote the way I vote. It's somehow not very good for democracy.
But you know, does it also not sometimes perhaps we overestimate the ability of some of these politicians, because sometimes it does not work the way they plan. So saying, I will tell you who to vote for, whatever. The majority of them may decide to have a mind of their own.
Saw that
and
play out
yes, because we know some big names in Rivers who have broken ranks with Wiki already on this matter. You know, Senator Lee Maeba and some of them who have gone their own and said, well, we are not going without your own plans. But let's see how it goes, really. This will be a test of his own popularity and his command of the structure of the party and indeed the influence he has on Rivers voters. All
right, away from Rivers State, from the PDP to the APC, Tinubu has no plan to return capital to Lagos, says APC. Party launches portal to raise funds for campaign. That's on the Nation newspaper this morning.
Whoever, you know, I don't know where that came from.
He would relocate the capital.
Who thought about that in the first place?
Well, it's the political season. People just wake up and say different things, you know. They just want to stir controversy and keep being in the news, because it's not even possible.
It's incredulous. I mean, how do you just wake up and come up with a thinking like that, and then you think it through in your mind, and then you say it out? It sounds somehow, you know, in this time and age, after how many years, that Lagos is even looking to offload its own problems and wahalas.
So now let's just look at the bottom of the Nation newspaper. A very interesting one there. Budget office behind padding, says minister.
Oh.
Budget office behind padding.
Which of the ministers are we talking about here?
The story is in the Nation newspaper. I wish we can get to that story to know which of when you check the Punch newspaper, you have a picture of the humanitarian affairs minister
and the finance minister.
And the finance minister. So it has to be one of them. And don't forget that both of them are in the news for padding. The humanitarian minister disowning 206 billion naira found in our budget, and finance minister saying that there is no padding in our own budget. And now we are seeing that the budget office is behind the padding.
So the buck passing continues.
Yes.
So from the humanitarian minister to the finance minister, now to the budget office. Let's see who it's passed on. Maybe it's to you, Emmanuel.
I am innocent. I'm innocent. Now, back above, just above below the nameplate, Ekiti Assembly recalls 3 suspended lawmakers. Oyo Ogun to deploy drones. We saw that on the Punch newspaper to tackle insecurity. Petrol's ex-depot price now 210 per litre. Petrol ex-depot price now 210 per litre. That's some worrisome news. Above the nameplate, contempt. Court jails IG for 3 months. Contempt. Court jails IG for 3 months. We saw that story flying around yesterday. And if you weren't in the media or you did not understand clickbait, you just think, oh, the IGP has been arrested and put in jail, you know, without knowing the detail of the story.
But I mean, but the IG had to come out and do some explanation through the first the first spokesman yesterday, saying, well, this case is as old as 1992, and I do not even know how it came about. But then we will now look into ask our legal department to look into it, and so that we know what to do about it, really. But I mean, this is coming on the heels. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, the FCC chairman was also
committed,
also jailed. Was also ordered to be jailed because they are not. I mean, then you ask, who will arrest them? Who will arrest the IG?
Who will arrest the FCC chairman? Well, let's not forget that the former acting chairman of the EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, was also, you know, apprehended at some point. So I think to an extent, President Buhari has shown that he can, you know, make some things happen.
And then, you know, it's happened before also. Remember Tafa Balogun? Yeah, so during the days of Nuri Badu as the chairman of the EFCC. And, so it was, but these are just for contempt issues.
Not
You know, those other ones are bigger issues bordering on corruption, and then they had fallen out, or the powers that be, the powers, you know, talking about the presidency at that time, you know, how do I say, you know,
We're no longer on good
yes, recommended that these guys had to go, and that was what had to happen. But this one definitely will not happen. No judge. I mean, no, I don't know the police officer that will come and effect the arrest of the IG here without the say so of the president.
All right, now Adeleke backtracks on sack, demotion, others. That's a little bit confusing.
Okay, so I mean, I should give you the backstory. Yeah, so after, you know, all of that, what we had here yesterday. So on radio, on Frank Talk on Rave FM, I spoke to the spokesperson of the governor, Malawali Rashid, and he told me pointedly that that was not the intention of the executive orders, that the media misreported it, misrepresented the fact.
Taken
so he told
out
me
of context.
Yes. So he told me, he told me there and
that's
then.
The language, right?
Yes, that's the language. He told me there and then on radio yesterday that the governor has not sacked, and he said that executive orders 1, 2, 3, executive orders 2, 3, 4, 5 should not be read in isolation. Should be read with executive order number 6. And so that executive order number 6 talks about setting up a panel to review. So saying, if you're reviewing, I mean, then you can't sack. It's going to be after the panel has reached that decision, that's when you may now want to sack. And so that was where all of the papers got that story.
And just yesterday, the governor did inaugurate 4 panels to review across staff audit. You have chieftaincy issues, you have government inventory and government assets and all of that. You have, so that's a very good one there. Federal workers to enjoy 14-day paternity leave.
We talked about that yesterday.
Yes, congratulations to the likes of the married men, like Mr.
No, you're coming to join the gangs soon.
I may choose to become a monk.
Oh,
so,
that'd be good. Let's see how it goes.
Senegal through to round of 16 at Qatar World Cup, flying the flag of Africa very proud of Senegal, very proud of the Teranga Lions. We saw the match here at the office yesterday, and you needed to see how we all screamed when the second goal
and I'm so happy for Aliou Cisse. He led Senegal to their first ever quarterfinals, you know, in the World Cup. He led them as a coach also to winning the Nations Cup this year. He's leading them to the round of 16 again. Aliou Cisse is doing a great job. I do hope that. But then their next opponent, I think, is the Netherlands or England now. So perhaps that's the end of the road for them.
Well, it may not be the end of the road, considering the fact that England did not do very well by their own standards at this World Cup. They didn't win their first match convincingly. The second match was a draw against Iran, of all countries. And then, you know, now they had to win through their teeth yesterday. And so I will be rooting for Senegal when the time comes.
All right, so let's bring you the next paper. You're through with The Nation.
The Nation, yes,
okay,
that's
so
what we have with The Nation.
We'll move on to the Guardian newspaper now. And the banner headline here is about debate. Tinubu leased terms to debate Obi as Arise TV insists on appearance. Interesting.
Get to see more on that on Spring Trends this morning.
Okay. So the number of riders there. Respect the Constitution. Candidates must attend town hall meeting. Arise TV insists, now by force. Okay. No manifesto, no debate. Tinubu tells Obi. Agbakoba, presidential candidates must address illegitimacy of 1999 Constitution. Level of vote buying alarming. INEC chairman in lament. UK committed a transparent, credible electoral process in Nigeria. APC targets 5 billion naira donation with presidential crowdfunding app. An alleged identity theft. Apologize to Nigerians. Atiku Kowa campaign tells Tinubu. I mean, so this as they say, get as a B. Tinubu is been called out again and again that is avoiding debates, but he's also defending himself, saying I've had a couple of town halls with sectoral groups and whatever, but it appears that there was an official statement from the Labour Party and Peter Obi as camp yesterday, challenging him to a debate. So he's responding here and listing in terms of reference. So I think he's shading Obi, saying you have not even provided your manifesto for us. So if you want me to do a debate, give us your manifesto first so that we take it from there.
Well,
and Arise TV now insisting,
yes,
Tinubu has said he's not going to come. Arise TV is insisting that you must come. What's the sense about?
A constitutional duty of any presidential candidate? You know, I was going through the conditions given to Peter Obi yesterday,
Yeah.
and well, they are reasonable conditions if you ask me.
Okay.
The only snag was that the APC, according to Festus Keyamo, spokesperson of the Tinubu Shettima Campaign Council, the APC now said that when Obi fulfills all of these conditions, the party will send one of its spokesperson to debate with Obi. So Tinubu would not even come out.
Also, why are you setting the conditions then?
Why are you setting the
conditions?
conditions?
So that's not a fair one. So if you're saying, if you're challenged to a debate and you're saying, fulfill all of these conditions first before we come to the debate, you're not saying, even when the conditions are fulfilled,
I will send the spokesperson.
No. I mean, that's not too good. But Obi also should come out with a manifesto. I think he came out with one that was disowned. They said that's not ready, yes. And so we are waiting for. But I think it's good. It will deepen our democracy. It will also help our citizens to decide. I think there should be some level of legal framework to mandate candidates attending or being part of debate.
Yes, it is very important.
You can't just ghost the citizenry
and then come out on the day of the election.
No, I don't think that's
It's important because some persons make up their mind at the point of the debate.
Yeah.
That's when they decide, oh, this person has convinced me, I need to vote. It shouldn't be about money politics. No. It shouldn't be about I have invested in people, because that was part of the conditions yesterday. Bring out the number of persons you have mentored. That is extraneous to the democratic process. You can mentor people and then they end up not even being in your party.
Yeah.
So it's not really a criterion for you to say we must be. We need to have issue-based campaigns. We need to see your manifestos. What are your plans? Yes, you've done some things in the past, but the times have changed.
Yeah.
We're now in a digital age. How do you intend? That's why I was quite interested in Governor Ademola Adeleke's speech, talking about climate change and ICT. So we need to see all of these things. We need to see your manifesto so we know who and what we are voting for.
All right, so some other headlines below the nameplate here of the Guardian newspaper. Obey before complaint. Uriwa tells IGP as police boss gets 3-month jail, doesn't pay 3. Terrorist kill DPO's mom, brother in Katsina. Grief as gunmen kill Kaduna LP women leader. We do not want political assassinations again. Kogi Chinese firm partner on $60 million smart security architecture. And pro rata pay. ASU demands removal of Adamu Ngige Keyamo. That's another. It seems the ASU issue has not been resolved just yet. Down the paper, the bottom strip, Rivers surrender to EFCC. Opposition parties tell Fubara. That was what I was referencing the other time, Emmanuel. Fubara is the candidate of the PDP in Rivers. He's been doing a hide and seek with the EFCC for some time. So it appears with the way things are going, that Wike will be the one doing all of the campaign. I think the plan is to, if he wins the election, you get immunity, and then so the FCC cannot do anything again.
Well, it's worrisome. It is really worrisome. The other day, I was having a discussion with someone, and then it's alarming the number of politicians currently in power who have corruption cases. It is very alarming.
But so if the executive governors, so for the time they're in office, you won't touch them. You can't touch them.
So where does the law and justice? Well, justice is justice, but for the common man, it's disheartening that someone who is wanted by the EFCC is contesting a position.
So I mean, we should stress also that being wanted by the EFCC does not mean you are guilty.
You are guilty.
Does not convict you. But then if you have no skeleton in your cupboard, you should honor, and the invitation perhaps get some of those issues cleared. But the last story for us, the last headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, UNN ASU directs the members to withhold results of unpaid salary. So the storm is gathering again. If you know, I mean, these are ASU works. Before you know it, becomes a big problem again.
I did see a statement. I've not been able to independently verify, but there's a statement about ASU saying that they were going to declare a world record strike.
Oh,
World record.
world record.
Yes, maybe years and years of.
You know the way we use words in Nigeria is funny.
World press conference.
When what press conference, when the journalists that came around just from
just
4 or 5 media houses, then you have ultra modern complex. You know, when politicians commission buildings, and I don't know, I mean, I don't even know why we get a commission. I don't know in the Western world where they do commission. And I think the right word actually will be inaugurate some of those projects. But when we commission, then you now go, they say they commission an ultra modern shopping complex. And then you go there and you see, oh my goodness.
The toilets are not even modern, not to talk about.
You're talking about even the paint are not modern. I mean, the bricks were not done. The screening were poorly done. And then you come around, there is ultra modern. We are
billions
used to
of naira spent on it.
Yes, big, gigantic grammar. You know, if you check our friends on the continent, I have some friends who are the nationals of some of the African countries. They say, Femi, the way you Nigerians speak, you know, you like big grammar. You like to, you know, highfalutin words at something even small. That's why we also have, you know, a knack for doubling words,
yes.
short knicker, something like that. But all of these things, repetitions and whatever. So how do you make reference to that? I mean, look at the choice of word here.
Yes, world record. Strike. But scarily,
it is really
when two elephants fight, the grass will suffer. Now students will have their results withheld until. I
thought the last strike was long enough. So if they are saying world record, that means we are likely going to have more than 1 year.
More than 1 year, yes. It's really disturbing. Even if it's just for the sake of the students, please, federal government, sit down with the lecturers. Their demands are reasonable within the ambit of the law, and all of these differences are reconcilable. They are not irreconcilable differences. They can be solved. Let's save the future of. There are people who should have finished school, who should ordinarily have a 4-year course, and now in their 6th year in the universities. It's alarming. Their lives have been put on hold, and then you want to now pity them and see them on the streets constituting nuisance. We need to do something to stop this issue. Nip it in the bud.
It's sad. It's sad.
All right, from The Guardian, we'll move on to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let me quickly remind us below the nameplate still in captivity. 11 schoolgirls of FGC Benin Yauri, 532 days. 1 student of Bethel Baptist High School, Kujama, 505 days. Below the nameplate on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Now, let's talk about the banner headline. Russia-Ukraine war weapons being smuggled to Lake Chad region. That's from President Buhari. Wow. Do we share borders with Russia and Ukraine?
We never share border with Libya. So, you know, arms from that area also found its way to Nigeria. There's a way these things go around, and it's unfortunate. And I hope it doesn't further upset the balance in that region again.
Yes. I think that was the country that lost their president to the war. It was at the war front, Idris Deby. Chad. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Chad.
We hope. President Buhari is calling for tighter border security, tasks regional force to end terrorism. Military expresses commitments to operations. Nigeria spends over $209 million on multinational joint task force in 6 years. That's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. And just below that story, protest over arrest of student who criticized Aisha Buhari. Protest over arrest of students who criticized Aisha Buhari. We've been hearing in the news recently how reportedly DSS officials went to Aminu school and picked him up for criticizing the wife of the president.
Sad.
Very sad.
Shameful, if it's true, because this story has been doing the rounds for a couple of days now. And, you know, some salacious details even emerging of late. You know, there's an allegation that the student was taken to Aso Rock before the wife of the president, where he was beaten and tortured alongside another lady. And the first lady, in a bid to wanting to kick her, also eventually injured herself, you know, and all of that. But, you know, away from those salacious details, it's even unfortunate that for criticism, a student was arrested. You know, I mean, it shouldn't have. I mean, if you remember in 2014, 2015, the kind of abuse that the wife of the former president, Patience Jonathan, got, you know, she was called all manner of names. I can't recall anyone arrested for that. So I don't think this is proper in any way. I don't. And unfortunately, what the guy tweeted, many people did not even know. Now, what he
It's in
tweeted
public.
is everyone, you know, got to know now. It's a
Well, we hope that that is quickly resolved and that student is granted his freedom. I don't see where the freedom of speech. Well, would do well to hope that the
and so they
government
say you have
tackles
freedom
that.
of speech, but then freedom after speech is what they cannot guarantee.
All right, away from that, Aisha Buhari story. Non-oil exporters fetch Nigeria $4.9 billion forex this year. Emefiele, riot in Katsina as bandits kill DPO's brother. Race to NAS. Abia governor's quest to unseat Abaribe in Senate. Now, above the banner headline, below the nameplate, budget padded. Humanitarian Affairs Minister exonerates Finance Ministry.
So some clarity.
There's some clarity to the story on the Nation newspaper. Now, that means that both the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry and the Finance Ministry are claiming that whatever budget padding you see in their own budget
It's from the
is
budget,
from the budget
office.
office.
Okay. Let's hear from the budget office also. Come
But
out
then, like we asked
tell us.
the other day, did they not go through the budget?
before the eventual presentation.
Yes.
Well, when the budget office responds, we get to know. We get to know.
Get to know. Reaction trails CJN's comment on PDP governors and insecurity. Reaction trails CJN's comment on PDP governors and insecurity. I think the Supreme Court has come out to give some clarity to the CJN's, said the CJN was quoted out of context. Apparently, some persons reported that at an event in Rivers State, the CJN said that he was glad Governor Seyi Makinde was part of the G5. And then the Supreme Court has said that that was never a statement made by the CJN.
Well, so that your statements are not misconstrued, so that your statements are not taken out of context, if you operate in such a space like that of the CJN, you should even be wary of the kind of gatherings you go, events you go. So if you go to a deeply partisan program, then whatever interpretations are read into it, whatever meanings are read into it, you need to bear it. So whether, I do not think that the CJN should even have been part of that gathering in the first place.
It was to commission some buildings.
Why is the CJN a judicial building?
Yes.
And then so perhaps the reception now, you know, at another reception.
Yes. Even for the commissioning, as you said, why I don't know why we use that word, is actually counter, because to commission a project means that you give the go-ahead for the project to start. And then when it's finished, you inaugurate. So you don't commission after. But away from that, he could have sent someone. There's a Chief Justice in the States that could have represented.
Or, I mean, if you go eventually, then you are mindful of the things of the things you say. But here, because this has been also going around for some time, people criticizing the CJN and accusing him of partisanship, you know, and it's unfortunate. You do not want the judiciary or the head of the judiciary to be perceived in such light.
Well, we hope that that is really, really sorted out, that the CJN himself will give a message and then speak on that. That's what we have on the Daily Trust newspaper. Just below the nameplate again, 2 Trust TV journalists shortlisted for Wole Soyinka Investigative Journalism Award. That's on Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, so finally, the Tribune is just rushed through that. The banner headline is Lagos Ibadan Expressway Ogun-Oyo to deploy drones to tackle kidnappers. It's good that the 2 states are doing something eventually, finally. And just under that, Ekiti Assembly crisis, I won't withdraw case against my removal, Aribi Shogun. Please disperse protesters demanding CJN's resignation. Imagine, it's got into that.
To that level now.
No manifesto, no debate. APC tells Obi, Kogi partners China on security architecture. Adeleke Osun Speaker meet. Governor dissolves all non-statutory boards except that of Uni Osun. Akinrun's palace, calm. Police secure Akinrun's palace, calm in Ire, Igbajo. Military actions alone can't end terrorism in Lake Chad. Buhari alerts against Russia-Ukraine war, weapons proliferation. And just under the nameplate, FG to spend $575 million on rural roads in Katsina, Oyo, Abia, Akwa Ibom, 15 other states. And gunmen kill Labour Party women leader in Kaduna. And above the nameplate, ex-Second Republic Minister Paulo Nungo dies at 87, and court sentences IGP to 3 months in prison for contempt. And with the riders, police not aware of court order on reinstatement of dismissed officer Boss Yaro.
Well, interesting stories there. For the story in Oshun, after the governor, puts some of those chieftaincy and kingship appointment on hold, 2 statements were issued yesterday. One from kingmakers in Ire, telling the governor that they are comfortable with their monarch, they don't have any issues. And also the same coming out from Igbajo saying his appointment followed due process. We are happy with it. We don't have any issues. Please leave us be and let us be the way we are. But there's no such statement yet from Ikiru.
So there was a statement from Ikiru yesterday from some elders of the town, but they were vehemently opposed to the king. In fact, the statement issued, they refer to him as a prince. That's an order. So it's still a long drawn battle over there. We get to see how it pans out.
All right.
So that'll be all as regards to the paper. So take a break now. When we return, we'll bring you the interview. We'll be talking to our guest shortly, and there's also going to be some things about the chieftaincy issues and executive orders issued already by the governor here in Osun State. All right, thank you so much for coming back. You're still on to Morning Spring, reaching you from Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. You can follow us on all of our social media handles on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Just search for Western Spring Television. On Twitter, actually, is at WSTV_NG. And do well to check us out on YouTube as well, doing that at Western Spring Television, and subscribe to our channel on Western Spring Television. It's very, very important. Please do just that. So talking about the issue today, we have our guest joining us live via Zoom. He is the immediate past Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. He joins us live on the line today. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring this morning. Prince Adebayo Adeleke Banik, former Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Well, I thank you. Good morning to everybody in the house. By the grace of God, Western Spring Television will continue to strive.
Amen.
I say good to the good people of Osun State. Like he said, my name is Prince Adebayo Adeleke, the immediate past Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you very much, sir, Prince. So, I mean, getting to the business here, I don't know how you feel. Just a few days after you left office, most of the things you did in the twilight of the administration of Oyetola are now being upturned. The executive orders issued by the governor, Ademola Adeleke, on Monday sort of undid almost all of what you did in the last days in office, you know, sort of suspended or put on hold the appointments of Obas that you appointed. How did that happen? How do you feel about it, Prince?
Well, thank you. I am not going to flog that issue because it's very simple. It's a big surprise that the governor of Osun State, who just came in like 24 hours after he came in, he started issuing some executive orders, which are really, really funny. First of all, there's no way you have a child without having a man and a woman meeting. They give back to the child. The woman will be pregnant for at least 9 months or less. The child will grow. Before sitting down, he will crawl. Before walking, he will crawl. But this time around, Mr. Governor just came in, gave an executive order on an issue that some are already in court, which should be left to take through the legal process. Some, no issue, no reason for just an executive order. But I think when you have power, if one is not careful, that power will be pushing you here and there, and that is what takes a man. I can see that Mr. Governor erred in a lot of ways, and that is why on raid yesterday, the spokesman of Mr. Governor was trying to retract most of those executive orders. For example, the order was like, you sack 3 Obas. You ordered security men to go and take over the palaces of the Obas. But when the spokesperson came on raid yesterday, he said no, that their statement was misinterpreted by journalists. That actually the governor did not sack any Oba. Rather, he said they should go and give protection to Obas in the palace. Pending the time, he will have a review. It will have been a case of doing your review first, let the review committee submit a report, and you base your decision on that report, if there's any. So you can see that it is a government that is being misled or does not really know how to do it. So to put, they do not know how to do it. Even this sacking of 1,200 workers, where did they get the 1,200 workers from? We got information again that they say, no, they did not mention it. You have not even done the staff audit. You have a committee to do that. Has the committee submitted their reports? But because they just want to hit up the polity, you can see what happened under 24 hours. Killing, maiming, destruction of lives and property everywhere. And I am so sorry for the people of Osun State, including myself. And I will tell them in Yoruba that Eku Rojo, but by the grace of God, the government will come to power.
Prince, what the new government is saying is that they are clearing your mess, the mess you left in office while leaving. That since you lost the election in July 16 and results announced July 17, every of your actions has been about destroying the state, about setting roadblocks and putting up, bombs for the incoming government to make their job very difficult right from the word gun. That's what they said. That's what they are trying to do, clearing your mess.
Let me say this. What they don't know is this. After the 17th of July, will there be vacuum? Was there a governor in place or not? Was Governor Adeleke the governor then or governor-elect? I mean, it's common sense. I won't lie to you. That's why I said I won't flog it. Because it's funny. It has become, people are messing with us. People are saying they're even making jest of Osun State. How could that be? You say everything that the governor did or the government did from 17th of July, they are null and void. How? How? Ask yourself, who is in power? Who was in power then? Who's supposed to do what? If you know they have done anything wrong, you have said you want to set up a committee, set up your committee, let them review. But you are doing it as if it was illegal for the current governor then to perform his statutory duty.
But would you say, Prince, that all of those appointments followed due process? Because that seems to be why the governor wants to revisit it and review them.
Yes, Femi, there's nothing the government did that did not follow due process. How will you know? You have to set up a committee like he did.
I mean, they say you rushed it through. So for instance, for that of the Owa of Igbado, it was appointed just 1 or 2 days before the end of the administration. They made reference to one in Ikirun saying it has led to loss of lives and destruction of property.
Even if it's 1 minute to the expiration of the time of the former governor, it is still legal. It is the process that you go and check. The people of Igbajo, all their forbagers issued a statement yesterday. They said, leave our town. We are okay with it. Due process were followed. No step was circumvented. So why do they now want to create problem where there's no problem? Is it because the incumbent Oba of Igbajo now is the former chairman of APC? What is the insinuation? Why would you give another before you get a report? I mean, it's like putting the cart before the horse. You have given another, now you are saying you are setting up a review committee. Is that not a confused government? What are we talking about? And let me tell you this, Femi, most of this thing the government is talking about, there are cases in court. Will your executive order now take off cases that are already in court? Does that not amount to contempt of court, if not because of immunity that the governor has? What are we talking about? Everything is illegality. Let me tell you this. He said, hello, are you there?
I'm with you.
Yes. He said it was like 2 days, 3 days to the apparition of Oyetola's government that they appointed Owa of Igbajo. Before Baba Akande left in 2003, it was a week to the time he will leave that he appointed the Ila-Orogun, Kabiyesi of Ila-Orogun. Nothing happened. Oyinlola got there. He did not, because of that, depose the Oba. If there's a case in court, please let them know. Why will the government issue an executive order over a case that is already in court?
But they have also clarified that they have not deposed any Oba, neither have they sacked any worker. That, the executive orders, and they said that the media misinterpreted the executive orders, and that the executive orders should not be read in isolation.
I do not think that every journalist that is in Osun State will misinterpret. Every journalist. That means something is wrong. That statement of saying we did not sack is an afterthought. It's an afterthought. You committed an error as a new governor. You now come back the second day to say, no, they misinterpreted me. So they misinterpreted you on the issue of the anthem of the state that was enacted by law of the state assembly, that they are not telling you, no, you don't have the power to do that. There's a process. They misinterpreted you by quoting that we employ 1,200 workers within 2 weeks. You are denying that.
You know, but they never gave any figure.
And you said security agent to palaces.
Prince, they never gave, Ademola Adeleke never gave any figure as to how many workers were recruited or sacked, at least in the last few hours. It appears that maybe it was making reference, maybe the media made reference to the earlier claim of the PDP before it came into power that your administration recruited over 12,000 workers since after July 17. Perhaps that's what they're making reference to, because there was nowhere, anywhere, where anybody made a mention of 12,000.
What's the difference between PDP and PDP governor? What is the difference, Femi? The PDP and the PDP governor. Are they saying the party don't know what they are saying? Is that not the party that produced the governor? Come off it. We are not stupid enough. I think we have some people that have brain as well. All these are afterthoughts. You are just alleging. And the journalists have a role to play. If he's saying they are being misquoted, the journalists to push out the facts. No, Mr. Governor, you are not being misquoted. If you say you are being misquoted, why did they send police to palaces where there's no problem, no issue? In Ibadan, no issue. Nobody's protesting. In Ire, no issue. Nobody's protesting. In Ikirun, there was protest earlier. I think the commissioner of police went in and they restored normalcy. Everything came to normal. So what are we talking about? And I want to put it to you, whether an executive order can go over a court decision or a court process. That is pure content. There are cases in court. As a governor, you leave it, let the legal procedures go on. If they take a decision, fine. So honestly speaking, I won't lie to you, this is a big error on the side of the government and the governor himself. But I'm happy that they're happy to say, no, this is not what he said, this is what we have said. Obviously, they are coming back to track on some of those issues that they raised. And I can assure you of one thing, that committee will come out with nothing, because everything the government of Governor Itola did, due process were followed. Due process were followed. I can assure you of that.
Mm. Well, former commissioner, there's still yet a statement to be issued, like the statement from Igbajo and Ire, talking about asking the governor to leave their towns alone. Does that speak to the fact that Ikirun is indeed a contested part of this whole kinship tussle?
You know, it depends. You can make statements, you can decide not to make statements. The people that made statements in Ikirun, they said elders of Ikirun. But I want to tell you one thing. Who are the people that are really, really concerned? If you are not from the ruling house is not challenging the process, and you say, no, I am a member of Ikirun community, I'm an elder, I don't want that KBC. Who are the people that actually have the authority? It is between the kingmakers, the local governments, and the state governments. So some people will make statements for personal reasons. For example, in Ire too, despite the fact that the prince and princess in all the ruling houses said, no, we are in support of this KBC, this is our own Oba. Due process were followed. There are still some cabal that are making noise. No, we don't want him. You know, a situation whereby the so-called rich want to make sure that they install or impose somebody on the people of the particular committee, then there will be crisis. It is that of Ire was just because all the ruling houses said, no, this is injustice, we have gotten our own KBC. But there are some, like the IPA president that lives in Lagos, that does not know what is going on in the community, that will come and say, oh, we like the way Governor Adeleke said he has deposed the Kabiyesi. We like the way Governor Adeleke said he wants to review, because they don't have an idea of the process. You cannot be in America or sit down in Lagos and come and be talking of what is happening in the particular community. Ownership is more sensitive than that. So we have to listen to those people that are really concerned. It is between three: the ruling houses, the kingmakers, local government, and then the state government. Well, I can assure you that at the end of the day, that review committee will come out with a report that you'll be like, so what's going on?
Now, one of the reasons advanced by some persons within the PDP for the declaration of Governor Adeleke, especially in Igbajo, was the fact that the current Owa is the son of the immediate past Owa who has joined his ancestors. Could you take us through the process that led to, the government, your government, arriving at choosing the current Owa, seeing as there are other ruling houses? Could you make sense of that allegation? All right, we've been speaking with the former local government chairman of former commissioner, of the local government and chieftaincy affairs in Osun State. He was part of the cabinet of Governor Adegboye Gawitola that left office on Sunday, November 27th, 2022. He's been speaking to us on some of the executive orders made by Governor Ademola Adeleke as regards the chieftaincy affairs and some kinship tussles in major communities in the town. While we'll expect him to join us back, I was speaking with Femi earlier about a development on some of the orders also made by Governor Ademola Adeleke. The Osun State House of Assembly has ordered status quo on local government administration. We told you earlier from one of the papers that the Governor Ademola Adeleke and Speaker of the House met yesterday behind closed doors. And now the Speaker, while briefing the Assembly, informed the plenary of a notice of appeal against the decision of a Federal High Court judgment served on the 7th Assembly. The House thereby resolves that the issue of local government administration should be left to the court of law, ordering a status quo on all local government administration pending the exhaustion on all legal means. Well,
I mean, another interesting angle to all of this. We also put that across to Prince Adebayo Adeleke, who we hope will be able to join us shortly, the network permitting. It's a new twist into what we have on ground already. I don't know who is appealing the judgment of the High Court. Is that the sacked chairman of the House of Assembly? And do we know if a stay of execution was granted from enforcing this particular one? A number of issues, and also throw into the mix the fact that OSEC has now withdrawn, and some people have interpreted that to mean that the new government has breathed down heavily and said it's eating into the independence of OSEC. OSEC ordinarily should not be taking instructions. So the moment the chairman, the chairman and board and other members of the commission were sacked, you are left with the topmost civil servant, who is the executive secretary. And so, interestingly, he withdrew, because most times if you check our elections, even at the national level, what you have is INEC defending its election to the last. INEC would never admit in court that the election flouted any. So, I mean, it's a new one. It was absolutely shocking hearing OSEC issuing a statement and saying, we withdrawing the certificate of return because we flouted
the law.
These. So one would have expected that OSEC would go to law and defend what it did, whether right or wrong. But that's another one. So a number of twists here and there, and that's why you check my Twitter handle. So a couple of days ago, I said, we are barely able to keep pace with the events happening else by the meaning that a lot of drama awaits us in the months, in the weeks and days ahead, and this is where we are. But when Prince Bani comes back, hopefully he joins us as soon as possible. We will be able to ask him and put some other questions around the issues of, you were asking about Igbajo,
yes.
That the new Owa of Igbajo was the son of the former, not the immediate now, the one before the last that died. And so why is that? But if you check the Smith also of the Owa of Igbajo, they were saying there is Owa or why Sale, or why okay. But you know how people spin all of these things. But perhaps he'll be able to give some clarifications.
All right, we're told that he's back with us on the program. If you can hear me, former Commissioner Prince Adebayo Adeleke, we have you on the program now.
The network.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you very much for joining us again. So I was asking earlier that some persons within the PDP say that the new Owa of Igbajo is the son of a former Owa of Igbajo, the one before, the one that died, and that is it that there were no other ruling houses willing to bring forth, candidate for the throne? So could you take us through how the government arrived at picking the process involved, and if indeed there were some, other issues, contentious issues?
Well, I want to thank you very much. There's actually a declaration. The declaration is law, and that is what we followed, except the next ruling house, after the demise of the KBC, if the next ruling house have one way or the other is not ready, then we'll go to the next one. That's what the law says. But in the case of Igbajo, I can only tell you that the declaration has been followed. There is Owa Oke, Owa Isale, that is known to them. As far as the ministry is concerned, what we do is follow what the declaration says. The Afobajers will also tell, this is the next step, and we check if it's in line with the declaration. If it's in line with the declaration, then you have the Afobajers to go ahead, the kingmakers to go ahead and do selection. And that's exactly what they did. And at the time that we did it, there was no restraining order from any court of law that says the government cannot do it. So all these stories of Owa Oke, Owa Igba, those are traditional. The role of government and that of Abeda is clearly stated. So there is no protest from any kingmaker, no protest from anybody. So if the people telling the story, they can tell you the stories of 200 years. For example, in Ire, they said warrant chief is alien to them. They even said that government does not have the power to have a warrant chief. So that means they don't have the knowledge. And if they don't have the knowledge, and they are being told this is the normal thing to do, and they still refuse, there's nothing the government can do about that. It's about knowing the process. It's about following the process. So the story of Owa Oke, Owa Sale, those are traditional. Those are things that they can tell the people of the community. But when it comes to declaration, the role of government, the role of kingmakers, we have followed due process, and no process was circumvented.
All right, let's take you to the local government aspect of your former position now. Part of the executive orders issued by Governor Ademola Adeleke was to the effect, of suspending asking the most senior civil servant in the local government to take over helms of affairs, seeing as the court had, dismissed the election conducted by your administration, and also the withdrawal of certificates of return by the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, OSEC, by itself. But just recently, as of yesterday, in fact, this statement was issued out this morning. The State House of Assembly, the Speaker, in a statement by his press secretary, held that the position of the House was purely from the point of law and all of that. Now, on the issue of local government administration, Honorable Timothy Uweye informed the plenary of a notice of appeal against the decision of a Federal High Court judgment served on the 7th Assembly. That Federal High Court judgment served on the 7th Assembly, are you aware of that particular judgment, and what is it about? That's number one. Now, the House has resolved that the issue of local government administration should be left to the court of law, ordering a status quo on all local government administration, pending the exhaustion of all legal means. What do you make of that?
Femi, this is another funny step the present administration has taken. I won't lie to you. Yes, there was a judgment from the Federal High Court that due process were not followed in the election that brought in the political functionaries at the local government level. But immediately, a notice of appeal, was issued, and the intention to get an injunction that will give us stay of execution. And the government knows this. If the due process were to be followed, if we are not in the era of the military, Sani Abacha, or we are not in America under Trump, I think it is ideal for the government to stay action pending this appeal.
Was that stay of execution injunction granted? Or has it been granted by the court?
No, say notice of appeal and a motion for stay of execution. Once you are served with the two, you know definitely that something is going on in the court of law. So what the government is supposed to do is wait and see the outcome. Let me tell you this. It happened during the time of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. When he came in, we have local government executive that were in place. And he waited till the Supreme Court gave a judgment. So they have to wait. You can't rush into it. Any case that is in court, I don't think there's any executive order. I think it's an aberration to use executive order to knock out a case that is in court. I think that is a wrong step. So the House of Assembly is now saying that, no, this is wrong. Let Mr. Governor take to due process. Let the legal process come up and let it take a decision.
All right. Okay.
So as it is now, it is wrong for the government to ask those that were duly elected by the people to leave the council. That is one.
Yeah, because of our time, just before we let you go, I'd like you to clarify that there's been talk about the state, the Oyetola administration appointing quite a number of traditional rulers. You superintended over that ministry that time. Can you tell us exactly how many kings were crowned or appointed in the days after the election?
Well, the issue is this. People are getting it wrong. Many of these Oba's issues, many were in court. And Oyetola will not touch any case that is in court. So we are waiting. For example, that of Ire has been in court for 4 years.
All right.
We got judgment July, and we take a process.
Prince, we have just like a minute to go. So like how many altogether did the Oyetola administration appoint, after that election? Okay, so I mean, it appears that, we lost the connection to him, but you're just about letting him go. It would have been good to put a number to it. I mean, no number of numbers, bandied about, but it's quite a lot. And you have some other villages and small towns all over that also had Obas appointed for them in the days after the election. But that's the conversation with the former Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. When we return, we'll bring in our other guest on the program. We'll go on a short break now. I'll be back.
It's a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
and your sports Amazon, Nengi Ernest.
On this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Èdè Yorùbá jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára àwọn èdè tí wọ́n ń sọ ní agbègbè Niger Congo. Èdè Yorùbá gbajúgbajà ní àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè tó ń bẹ ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ilẹ̀ adúláwọ̀. Ó kéré tán, àwọn ènìyàn bíi mílíọ̀nù 14 ló ń sọ èdè Yorùbá lónìí. Ètò akọ́mọlédè ló ń dé sójú ìwòran yín láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán WSTV ìkànnì 150 channel 190 lórí Star Times. Folúṣọ́ Ayaolúwagbémiga, ìyá ìjọ pèdèpèdè, ìyá akọ́mọlédè ló kọ tèmi. Yorùbá dùn púpọ̀, Yorùbá ò lè kú, Yorùbá ò lè parun. Tiwa làṣà, tiwa lèdè, tiwa nìṣẹ̀ṣe àkọmọlédè.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
You go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
Michael, I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? I know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday. They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vague so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Right, you know.
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, is he actually out of this world? We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my voice.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach too much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving a blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
My name is Agbeshimi Peter, aka MC Too Much, the Lagedo one. You met the champions on the show, jokes aside. Join us on WSTV, channel 190. Catch you.
Bẹ́gùn ọba jáde, mọ̀rìnwó la kọ́kọ́ rí, ọwọ́ gẹ́gẹ́ ní síwájú ìjó, ẹsẹ̀ katakata ní síwájú rìn, bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti ń gbúrò wa, a tún ti dé náà nù, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò Owambe Unlimited, pẹ̀lú èmi ọmọ yín, olólùfẹ́ yín, ọ̀rẹ́ yín, Suliat tẹ́túmọ̀ sí Mọ́rẹ́níkejì, ẹ lè pè mí ní Sùsù, tó bá wẹ lómi, a sọ pé ìyálòde àríyá, gbogbo orúkọ tẹ́ ẹ bá pè mí, kò sí èyí tí mi ò ní jẹ yín, ẹ farabalẹ̀, kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò Owambe Unlimited lórí ìkànnì Western Spring Television ní ìkànnì 190. Ibẹ̀ ni Owambe Unlimited ń bọ̀ wá ẹ fàpùrẹ̀ tẹ̀dí kẹ́ ẹ máa gbádùn ètò àríyá wa.
Wọ́n sọ fún yín pé ẹ máa wo Owambe Unlimited lórí Western Spring Television.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Morning Spring, reaching you from Western Spring Television. You can check us out on also all of our social media handles at Western Spring Television, and on YouTube you can watch us live there and subscribe to our channel. You can also watch us on Star Times DTT channel 190. We have other guests with us at this moment. Also joining us live on Zoom is the spokesman to the governor, Ademola Adeleke, Malam Olawale Rashid. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring this morning, Malam.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
I wish you so congratulations to you also on your appointment. It's your first time on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so let's get some explanations to the executive orders issued by the governor. You know, some of them have been met by some reactions, controversies, you know, of late. I mean, especially as regards the media reportage of it. Most of the media yesterday reported that the governor has sacked 12,000 workers, that the governor had deposed monarchs and all of that. Can you put some clarifications to it? Did the governor sack workers? Was the, you know, were those monarchs deposed by that executive orders?
Thanks again for having me. On the issue of alleged sack of workers, Osun State payroll remain intact, and there is nothing that has happened to Osun State payroll. Workers on the payroll are definitely in order, and there is no problem. We don't have any issue about, we didn't sack anybody. If anybody is on the payroll of the state service, especially as at July 17th, that is actually officially the state payroll. And why should anybody be worried that somebody has sacked? Nobody has sacked anybody. The state payroll remains intact, except if somebody smuggling himself in.
Also, it appears that the network, you know, acting funny this morning. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, are you still with us?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, please
so
go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that the state payroll remain intact, but if somebody padded the staff list or smuggled some names in illegally, that is when we can say there are issues. But I can tell you categorically that there's nothing like sacking of workers. The state.
All right. So the line went bad again there, the network. We'll reconnect
yes,
with the
bad. We are on a trip, but let me quickly take it up.
Okay.
On the issue of Monarch.
Yes.
Actually, we all know what happened across the affected towns and villages. Specifically, I would say there are even court injunctions against the installation of some kings, and the former governor still went ahead and do it. So there is even illegality already, and I don't know how you build legality on illegality. So, and the executive orders are clear. The pronouncement has been made, and the review panels has been set up as at yesterday, and the panel will look into issue of assets, issue of employment, issue of appointment, and of course, review the question of appointment within the traditional institutions. So I would say the executive orders are not just necessary, but they are.
Okay, so I mean, if you can hear me, Malam Rashid, when do we expect the committees, the panels, to turn in their report? How many weeks or months are they given to do their jobs?
Hello, Fem.
Okay, so I'm good. You can hear me now. Yeah, so I'm saying that you talked about a panel set up by the governor yesterday to review most of these activities. How many weeks were they given? How many months or weeks or days are they expected to turn in their reports?
They have just 2 weeks. And I've had many of them worry up to finish it because these are matters that are urgent. And they've hit the ground running. As at yesterday, immediately after the inauguration, the committee started sitting. And as at today, they are sitting again and to look into some of the area of mandates and the time of reference they were given. So the work is ongoing.
Would they be receiving memoranda from members of the public?
There will be submissions from interested members of the public. Those who have informations have been, actually it's open, like you have said. Memorandum, submissions, and information to the panel. Very most welcome.
And so, just before I bring in Emmanuel, just to clarify the issue of the chairman of the local government, it appears that some of them are saying that what the governor did was illegal, that the case is in court, and that we should wait. And we're getting reports that the House of Assembly also issued a statement this morning saying status quo be maintained and that the law should be allowed to take its course in terms of exhausting all of the legal aspect of this with the appeal. Why is the governor in a hurry? And they made reference to what former Governor Arabeshola did when he came in. They allowed the case to terminate at the Supreme Court before eventually taking a decision. Why is the governor in a hurry on this matter?
Let me first say something. The governor is not in a hurry. He inherited a very bastardized system across the network, and there is urgency to quickly address those illegalities, because when an illegality is committed and you allow it to sustain, then it compounds the complexity of crisis facing the system. Now, on the issue of local government, the governor has no hand. He has not dissolved any local government. He has not tampered with any local government system. What has happened is that there is a court judgment. And when there is a court judgment, you have to, one way or the other, give effect to it. And how do you give effect to it? Let me give you an insight. They say the matter is in court. What is a matter in court? If you file an appeal, that appeal has not even been transmitted to Court of Appeal. There has been no stay of execution on that judgment. Are we preaching illegality when there is a court judgment? Is it not supposed to be obeyed? And the governor, as the chief executive of the state, just say, okay, what we need to do is, we don't know what is happening, but to err on the side of the law, let's quickly get the most senior director or whatever HLA you call them to take charge so that there will be no vacuum. If the governor fails to act in that line, people will still blame him. Because if there is a court judgment that said Mr. Hay is a criminal, and you still allow the man to be working freely, that means you are derelicting, you are not discharging your responsibility as the chief executive of a state. And to avoid any conflict with the law, that was why there was no dissolution of local government. And that's why the statement we issued was making reference to the court judgment and the need to prevent a vacuum from existing. So those people commenting there is no stay of execution. The fact that you file an appeal does not even amount to a stay. And secondly, if you file an appeal, the appeal has not even been transmitted to Court of Appeal. So it's not even in court record. It's still an intention. So people should commend Governor Ademola Adeleke for actually standing by the law. So you get the clarification I'm trying to make.
All right.
He has not dissolved any local government. He has not touched the local government. It is the court that said these people are illegally in office. And to give effect to it, say, okay, while all this matter is going on, why can't we have the most senior people taking over? How has that affected the governor? He has no hand in it.
All right. You said something I'd like to bring to your notice, that the House of Assembly says that a notice of appeal against the decision of the Federal High Court has been served on the 7th Assembly. So the Assembly is saying that it is in custody of that notice of appeal. Now,
Could I ask you, my brother?
haven't now ordered maintaining status
so that you add it to your question.
Okay.
Is an appeal tantamount to a stay of execution?
Well, you can also answer that question because you made mention of it earlier. But let me just finish this. Now, the House of Assembly has ordered a status quo on all local government administration pending the exhaustion of all legal means. Where does this put your government? Having asked the most senior officers to take over, do you now revert to the local government chairman? And does this mean that OCEC will return the certificate of return that has been withdrawn?
That's why I was asking. This matter is not in our hand. It's about a judicial process. It's about a court judgment, which has created a vacuum across the local government. And to ensure that that vacuum does not exist, as a responsible governor of a state, His Excellency immediately acted by saying, okay, these most senior people take over so that there will be no vacuum. Now, as to the directive from the State Assembly, as you said, I'm aware of ongoing interaction between the executive and the legislature to actually compare notes. So I won't want to delve much into that. But what I want to tell you is this. Every governor has a responsibility to be on the side of the law. And as it is today, that court judgment said the election is illegally conducted and those chairmen and all their team are illegally occupying the office. If you are in governor's position and you fail to act, the system will hold it against you. The populace will hold it against you. In fact, there will be question on whether you are truly the governor of the state. So I don't want to go into whatever the House is saying because we are interacting, we're already interfacing. But on the side of the law, and you can ask this from anybody, the fact that you file an appeal is not tantamount to stay of execution.
All right, so we need to let you go now, but just to get another clarification, a statement was issued yesterday from the government as well, dissolving all agencies and, you know, parastatals. Non-statutory, yes, thank you. But there was an exception, you know, left out Uni-Osun. Can you explain why we had that, why you leaving the governing council of Uni-Osun in place and you dissolved the other ones? And does this one affect the new university in Elisha also?
You know, every establishment has an enabling act. And because the governor is a leader of due process, we want to cross-check and double-check and multiple-check whatever we want to do to be sure that we are complying with all necessary statutory position. And in the case of that statement you refer to, everything is in compliance with due process. And of course, you know, this is also an ongoing process. Review here and there, and a position will be taken. But as to that, the solution, it affects only non-statutory boards. If your board is statutory within the system, then you are exempted. And that's why you see the clause exempting Uni-Osun.
Well, so I mean, is it that perhaps,
is there a problem about that?
No, I mean, so it's just, I'm just trying to find out, perhaps you are impressed, or the governor is impressed with the work done so far by the governing council and the other member. Maybe that's why you decided to leave them.
I won't want to do appraiser. You know, we're in office now for 48 hours or so. We are still checking. The former governor said he left 14 billion in the account. We have not seen any account. We have not seen the report. We are about taking briefing from each of the MDAs as from tomorrow, because there was no proper transition, there was no proper handing over. So it's difficult for His Excellency to even make any judgment as it is now. In fact, to the good people of Osun State, we came in, we're like starting from the scratch. And that's why we quickly freeze the account to ensure that we keep the integrity of state finance intact. So as it is, we are still checking, we are still receiving documents. You remember he said 14 billion, that he left 40 billion. You remember that statement? We are still checking because there is no handing over note. There is no handing over note. So as from tomorrow now, each of the MDAs will start to be giving.
All right.
We start to be giving their report and all those. So we are starting from the scratch, Femi. Please let me take note of that. We are starting from the scratch. Okay. There was nothing left. We went to Deputy Governor's Lodge yesterday. It was fully looted, including fittings of the house. That is how bad the situation we inherited is. And we are 48 hours in office. So the governor is actually trying to quickly set the tone, clean up the mess. And that's why as from tomorrow, all the MDAs will be giving their report briefing, so that after getting their briefing, maybe under a week, His Excellency will now tell the people of Osun, this is what I got on ground. This is the mess, and this is how I plan to clean it.
All right.
But we are not even waiting till then.
Okay.
And that's why you are saying a lot of actions. And you see more today.
All right.
You read more today.
You mind giving us a hint of what to expect today? It's been an action-packed week.
You want me to give you breaking news?
Yes, give us breaking news, madam. What should you expect today?
You are going to expect further cleaning of the mess, further scrutiny of the system. In fact, the system is almost tabula rasa. There is nothing on ground. They bastardize the system. From local government to MDAs to everything is done. And that's why His Excellency, that's 6 orders. Very unique 6 orders. If you don't issue those 6 executive orders, we'll have run into a lot of problem for. In fact, His Excellency save also state by quickly swinging to and by issuing those executive orders. So you see a lot today, but I won't tell you how. You will pay me for giving that.
Okay. Well, Malam, we'd like to thank you for joining us on Morning Spring this morning. And we do hope that when next we're talking to you, we'll be live in our studios here on Western Spring Television or on radio at Rave 91.7 FM.
Yes. Thank you very much. My apology, we are on transit.
No problem.
And that's why it is so unstable.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. All right, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Malam Olawale Rasheed, spokesperson to Governor Ademola Adeleke, joining us. Well, he's telling us to expect more today.
Of course, like we've been saying, this is just, like they say in Nollywood, this is just the beginning.
It's a season film.
It's a season film. We'll get to see what's unfolding.
So
today.
that's the interview this morning. Emmanuel will be back with what's trending. Okay, so Emmanuel will give us a trending. I didn't give us a hint the other time.
Yes, I did. We have some stories for you, but I did talk about the Peter Obi situation with the APC, and of course, a very sad one coming out of Kaduna, murder in Kaduna.
All right, so we'll be back. Emmanuel will be back, but I'll be stepping aside now. Femi Olanikwekun is my name. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything or nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adefila, and I've got the gut. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
Hello and welcome to Spring Trends on Western Spring Television, the part of the program of Morning Spring where we bring you who is trending, what is trending, why they are trending, and what people are saying about the who, the what, and the why. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram at Western Spring Television, and on Twitter at WSTV_NG. You can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. Very quickly, we'll go to our first story today. Yesterday, the All Progressives Congress, APC, was responding to presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and they gave a number of conditions for presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to debate Peter Obi. Now, let's look at some of those conditions that were given to Peter Obi. The ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, on Tuesday said its presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, cannot debate with Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential flag bearer, who has no document. And down there, spokesperson of the Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, said Obi should first release his manifesto and then list his achievements during his tenure as government of Anambra State. He said Obi should also tell Nigerians, people he has mentored in politics who are still with him today, mention any political party he has formed, and then mention his contributions to the return of democracy to Nigeria after years of military rule. Mr. Keyamo said if the conditions are fulfilled, the APC will send one of its spokespersons to have an open debate with Peter Obi. Those are the conditions that the APC has given to Peter Obi. Now let's look at what people are saying about this. Right there on Twitter, Somi Anierobi says, Limau. Number one, is Tinubu running for the office of president of Peter Obi's house? Number two, even when the absurd conditions are met, an APC spokesperson will be sent to debate with Peter Obi. Your suppliers have upped the ante, and they didn't warn you guys. I wonder what suppliers is talking about and what is supplied. Step Up with Olusegun says, is the APC the one organizing the debate? Or why giving a fellow presidential candidate conditions to meet? Is the APC the one organizing the debate? Why are you giving a fellow presidential candidate conditions to meet? Honorable Ben Igbapa says, even if the conditions are met, there is no commitment from the APC to field their presidential candidate nonetheless. This is according to the statement. If the conditions are fulfilled, the APC will send one of its spokespersons to have an open debate with Obi. Now, the fourth comment there is from Brian Gabriel Chidozie in the BC. He says, I really think obedience needs to stop engaging these guys. We should spend all that time pushing Obi's message. If you really think about it, they need us giving them engagement to remain relevant here. Let's take that away and make Nigerian political Twitter 90% Obi content. And now the last comment says, Chukwemeka, hashtag Peter Obi says, a man that is supposed to be debating and giving me reasons why he needs my vote is here listing conditions for another presidential candidate to fulfill before he debates. Nothing I never see for APC and Tinubu hand. Make una no worry, lessons will be learned. Those are the comments that we have from that particular incident. APC giving the conditions to Peter Obi for presidential debates. Now, on a very sad note, we move over to northern Nigeria. Murder in Kaduna. Yesterday, the spokesperson of the Labour Party, Kenneth Okonkwo, says that the Labour Party women leader in Kaura, Kaduna State, Victoria Chintex, was on Monday, 28th November, shot dead by suspected assassins. The APC governor of Kaduna State, El Rufai, should be held responsible for her death as the CSO if the killers are not apprehended immediately. Now let's take comment from the first person there. Warman says, this is more reason we shouldn't disappoint those who have paid ultimate price for this movement. From NSAS to this current movement, I've made up my mind to fight to the end. Even if it means I will sacrifice my life for the freedom of Nigeria, I will do it willingly. You can join the Nigerian army if you want to sacrifice your life for the country. The next comment is from Ade Samo. It says, this is a very sad news. May God console and comfort our loved ones and by himself bring the perpetrators to justice in the name of Jesus. Everyone who has a hand in our death shall never know peace. The next comment, Okeke Clems, says, oh, what a painful loss. And I humbly pray that the good Lord shall give the family, friends, the good people of Kaduna, obedient family, Nigeria, the Moxo, to bear the irreparable loss. May God console her dear husband. Zari Yusuf says, the Labour Party women leader of Kaura, Kaduna State, shot dead last night. Her husband also sustained shots in the leg. Is it the jungle that is maturing? And then the last comment on that story that we can take says, Midas Touch says, too many different emotions right now. Not sure if it's shock, anger, disgust, or just heartbroken. Whatever it is, My thoughts and prayers are with your family. Your family will reap the fruits of your labor. To the perpetrators, I say watch and see. This is the political season. The government needs to do more to ensure that there are no political assassinations. Now, for the very last part of our spring trends this morning, we're taking you back to class. Let me show you something. A Twitter user put these mathematical questions up. I would also like to see your reactions. You can head over to our Facebook and Instagram handles at Western Spring Television, and on Twitter at WSTV_NG, and on YouTube to leave your comments. Now, this is the question. 2 plus 2 times 4. What is the answer? Now, after 56,460 votes, 81% chose 16 as their answer. 3% chose 15. 4% chose 14, and 12% chose 13. Now let's see the comment to this particular puzzle. Aditola says 10 is the correct answer, which is not there. Multiplication comes before addition. Pristo says start from back when bracket is not involved. This is basic mathematics. Board mass is not needed. LOL. Now the next comment says, I need actual mathematics scholars on this one because sometimes the bracket in an equation is invisible. I believe that is the case here. And Major Rich replying says, there is no invisible bracket. Board mass, acronym for bracket, order, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction, is a hierarchy for solving mathematical problems. If a mathematical problem has brackets, you solve the bracket first. Remy says, using board mass, it is multiplication before addition. So we'll solve the multiplication before the addition, which will be 2 times 4 first, will be 8. Then you add 2. Final answer should be 10. It's not on the option. Princess Omonomose says, let's start this way. We'll use the board mass to solve this equation. In the law of board mass, multiplication comes before addition. Let me quickly remind us what board mass is. Bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. 2 times 4 equals to 8. Bring our plus 2 and add to the 8. 2 plus 8 equals to 10. Very, very interesting comment here. Eze says, all those that voted together with the person that composed the question, now Olodo, the answer is 10. 2 plus 2 times 4 equals to board mass minus multiplication first. So 2 times 4 equals to 8. 2 plus 8 equals to 10. Your answer is 10. And Salari said, you said using board mass, right? What is the full meaning of B in board mass? Well, this last comment says, some are using board mass while others are using bad mass. I don't know what's the difference between board mass and bad mass. Whatever it is, we want to see your answer to that question. 2 plus 2 times 4 is equals to what? Send us your comment on our Facebook and Instagram handle at Western Spring Television and on Twitter at WSTV_NG. You can also put your comment on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And do remember to subscribe. That's the much we can take on Spring Trends today. You can follow me on Twitter at EM Ujadigele. Tag me to your tweet, mention me on your tweet, and I'll bring them on this very platform. My name is Emmanuel Ujadigele. I'll see you tomorrow. Happy last day of the month of November, and we hope to see you tomorrow on the very first day of December. Stay safe.